Hey everyone, good morning. Happy Monday. I'm out in the garden this morning getting some stuff done here, and I thought I would just hop on here quick and show you guys this really simple, cheap trick method I use to keep the cabbage loopers and a lot of the bugs that you have problems with, your brassicas, which is like your broccoli and your collards and your kale and all of the winter stuff that you can grow that doesn't flower. A lot of the times if your stuff starts to look like Swiss cheese, I'm gonna put $100 that it's cabbage loopers or some sort of caterpillar that's underneath the leaf just eating away. So this method here, which you can see in the back, I have a bee buzzing around me. I've got some essential oily bug spray on, so it's just checking me out. Let's see if it lands on my face this time. I was at the fair the other day and I had one literally on my head. Where'd she go? Can you see her? Sorry. Distractible moment. I have one of my girls flying around me. Anyway, you can see here I have Tulle on my bed, and that's what I use. I'll show you guys how I do this. Just turn this around here. So I bought this just white Tulle fabric. I bought a bolt of, I think it was, oh here it is right here, 54 inches wide by 40 yards, which, you know, times 3, so that's 120 feet of Tulle. And it's by far the cheapest to do this way. I think it was like $12 and change for 140 or 120 feet of this stuff. So this is what it ends up looking like. The reason why I do this is because this is a physical barrier to keep those moths, those little yellow moths that you see flying around. Those are not good. Those are not butterflies. They're not good for your garden. They're what lays the eggs that turns into the caterpillars that eat your garden. So you can see it's not obnoxiously ugly, right? Like it does a really good job at a physical barrier, stopping those bugs from even getting on your plants, and it's super cheap. So you can see here, I don't know if you can see here, but the 54-inch width for the height of my garden hoops is not quite long enough. So what I ended up doing was I doubled it. So you can see like that's 1/2 there, or one width of it, and then one width over there. And then I just stapled it together. And that created a really wide sheet of Tulle that I can put over my garden. Now this is going to let all the sunlight in. This is going to let all the rain in. I get white because I think it, you know, doesn't absorb as much of the sun. So because it's not UV treated, you might get a couple years out of it, you know, if you take care of it and put it away in the summer. But this stuff is super duper cheap. Hey Katie. So what I did here is I laid it out first, measured the length, giving myself plenty of room here at the ends so that if I want to clamp it down here like this, I could. So I just ran one length over the entire width of my bed. I measured that as my starting point, and then I kind of doubled it up here. You can see this is actually 2 layers on top of each other. And then I grabbed an end of each, and what I'll do is, it's hard to see because it's so thin, but this is 2 lengths of the Tulle, okay? So it's 1, 2. And I'll lay it down next to each other, and I'll butt up the ends like this. And all I have to do is give myself, you know, try to keep it as consistent. I just do a hand length because it's easier. Hey Tristan. It's easier just to measure this way. I just do a hand length. And then I just kind of fold it and staple with literally a stapler. And I just staple all the way, and I do that all the way up the length of both of the sheets of Tulle. And then when you lay it all out, it ends up being like this. So very inexpensive, very easy to do. All you gotta do is just put a little bit of effort into it. Okay, second hack. This is like I'm pretty proud of this super cool garden hack. If you have any old hoses, garden hoses, maybe you ran over it with a lawnmower. I mean, I'm not going to say someone in my house does that, because that would be, you know, calling them out on social media. But if someone, for instance, were to run out and run over a hose with a lawnmower, and you don't want to repair it, obviously you can repair it. You can go to the store and buy the adapter things. However, I've got so many old hoses laying around, maybe ones that have a hole in them or that are brittle or kind of just at the end of their life. Cut it up, save it. I know, I have like a junkyard around my house, but this is why, because I find uses for all of this cool stuff, and it's free. So what I do is I take, you know, a regular garden hose, and I just cut it up into sections. This is what, I don't know, 6 inches-ish long. I don't really measure, just kind of go with what I feel like a hand width. And I'm going to use these for this. I'll show you. To clamp my tool down. How amazing is that? All I did was I split it, and I'll show you how I do that right now. And you just slip it over. And this is a fantastic way to clamp down tool or, you know, clear plastic if you're going to utilize these hoops as a greenhouse. And it's free, and it's saving all of this plastic and rubber from going into a landfill, so it's like a win-win-win. Here, I'll show you how I do this. Again, turn this around because it's easier to see this way. What I do, I just use, I mean, you could use a pair of, sorry, see if there's fire ants from the south. The Satan's children come out in the form of fire ants. I just use these actually right now because it's what I had on hand. You could use an X-Acto knife, you could use box cutter, but all you do is cut them in half, cut them into sections. Let's see if I can do this with one hand. There we go. Cut it into small sections, and I usually end up kind of bend it just a little bit, and then you can do this one, it's a longer section as well. Bend it so it's sort of rounded. You know, you want it to go in the shape of whatever your hoop is going to be. And then I just cut it in half, lengthwise. Let's see if I can do this without another hand. There you go. There we go. It's working. Yeah. When you're a mom, you learn how to use your feet. Pretty much everything, right? There we go. Okay. Now I have my length of garden hose cut to size. You can make these as long or as short as you want, and split up the middle. Now go over here, and I like to anchor it down on the top, because then when I come in the sides, I can just lift up the sides and get into it easy while it still stays in place. Let's see if I can do this with one hand. This might be a little trickier. All right, here we go. I can do this. And you just slip it over. Being careful, try not to rip the tool, obviously, or tear it. Just careful, it's kind of fragile. And there you go. Now it is super taut, secured. I don't have to put a hole through this or do any type of drilling or anything crazy like that. It's very easy to remove and maneuver if I need to. But now that I have the top anchored like that, if I need to get in here and weed or harvest stuff, all I gotta do is just lift it up like this. It's very, very light. And there you go. So those are my little hacks. I mean, this whole garden bed cover probably cost me like $1. And I'll get a stupid amount of vegetables out of this garden bed well in the 20 to 30, 40. I don't even know. Honestly, it depends on what you're growing. This is bok choy, so it's doing really good right now. Isn't that awesome? So I've got a whole line of bok choy here. I've got some turnips, got carrots growing. I got some kale. Got fire ants in this garden. Anyone knows how to get fire ants out of the garden? I'm trying like everything. Okay, so a quick note to be had. I'll go ahead and pull this down so I can keep the bugs off. This is great for vegetables that aren't going to flower. Okay, if you have something that's going to flower, you don't want to cover it with the tool, because it's not only going to exclude the moths and the butterflies and all those things, it's also going to exclude any of the pollinators. So, you know, obviously turnips, carrots, bok choy, kale, broccoli, all of those things, cauliflower, all of those things that don't need to be pollinated, they don't have flowers, you're golden, you're good. You can just go ahead and use this and it'll save you a lot of frustration. However, if it is something like this, a cucumber, you can't cover it. The birds, or not the birds, the bees have to get to it to pollinate it, all the other pollinators. So you don't want to cover that, unfortunately, with the tool. So here's what I did for this situation. The bees are trying to get in. She's flying around me. Since I have cucumbers, I'm trying to get one last flush of cucumbers out for the season on a trellis here. I just tucked it down under. I stopped here so that my cucumbers could keep growing up. I'm not going to cover them, and I'm also going to protect this half of the garden. I know it's not always feasible to have an entire garden that's not going to flower. Just be mindful of that. Don't plant like flowers and stuff in the middle if this is what you're intending on doing. Try to just be mindful of that. But all I did was I used to use a landscape stake, and I staked it down there. It's just one of these things. P.S. another hack. These landscaping stakes are the perfect width for this decking board that I use for my beds. And I use it to secure all kinds of things down, netting and whatnot, and you push it in and it pins in. It's perfect. So I'll put all this up on my website. I'm trying to hopefully get that set up next week, so you guys definitely be on the lookout for that, because I will be shouting that from the mountaintops once I finally get the website up. It'll be easier just to streamline all my communication with you guys. All right, well, I hope you like that little hack. I mean, it looks nice. It lets all the air, it lets circulation in, it lets rain, sunshine, all of that jazz. And it really does a phenomenal job of putting that physical barrier and protecting your fall crops. Once it's cold and I don't have to worry about the moths and the bugs anymore, I can take this off and I can just exchange it for some greenhouse plastic, which is, I just go to Lowe's or Home Depot and I buy the plastic painter's sheets, and that's what I use for the my greenhouses. So these hoops are well worth the $1 you spend. I mean, these PVC Schedule 40 hoops are like $1 and change, maybe $2.10. I can't remember offhand, but they're only a few dollars a piece, and I can't say enough good things about them. So hopefully this was helpful. I need to get back to this before it gets to be a bajillion degrees out, but give these little garden hose things a try. It's really a neat way to repurpose, and maybe get your kids involved. Like, they might not be able to cut it, but they could probably help you put them over it, or you can just, you know, show them like, hey, this is how we can use garbage and repurpose it to grow our garden. So of course mine are always inside and never want to come out and help me, but you know, hey, maybe you guys can do better than me. But here we go, that's it. This is also a really great tool. One more example would be if you needed to spray your crops with something like a fungicide, obviously organic, there's like copper fungicide, or a BT, which is a bacillus thuricide. I don't know if I'm mispronouncing that right. But anyway, if you needed to put any type of organic spray, whether it be a pesticide or an herbicide on here, this is a fantastic way to keep the bees and keep any of the pollinators off of it while that application has a chance to dry. They say to do it in the evening, obviously after the pollinators have gone. And I try to do that, but I don't always get to it at the end of the night. Sometimes I'm just super tired and want to go to bed, and I forget. So if there's a day where I really need to do it in the morning, which is not the ideal time, I'll do this. I'll throw these over it just to be cautious and sure that, you know, my bees aren't going to check it out. Or again, I really try to make sure everything is super safe. I probably baby my bees more than I need to, but hey, you know me. I'm the crazy chicken lady, crazy bee lady, whatever you have you. All right, well, give this a shot. Grow a fall vegetable garden because you need to. It's like so easy. And I mean, I'm probably growing $100 worth of food here. Easy. And you can grow cool things like this is Napa cabbage. This is, again, bok choy. What else do I got going on here? I'll give you guys a little garden tour. Sorry for getting nauseous with my cameraing. These are beans, bush beans, and some of them happen to be pole beans, even though they said bush beans on the package. Whatever. Look at my jalapenos. They are still just rocking and rolling. I've got so many. I'm just going to be a jalapeno farm. I'm going to be like the Spicy Homestead jalapeno farm because they grow like weeds. I've got some peas growing up here. This rebar reinforcement wire that I use to make my trellises, I guess you would say. I use them for peas. I put my tomatoes in there. I use them for my squash. I've got some zucchini I'm trying to get out before. Oh, look at the little guy. Hey, guy or girl. See, guys, this is what happens when you let your land or your little piece of the earth balance itself out. If you don't use pesticides or herbicides, nature will take its course. And then you can have cute little guys like this that will eat all the bugs for you. Bats, dragonflies, all that stuff. That's my little advocacy pitch for the day. Alright, well, this is Swiss chard. No, Ford Hook chard. So that's not doing bad. But see how it's got the holes? Something's eating this. I would say this is probably a slug based on the size of the hole. They like chard. So I might have to put something in here for slugs. Maybe I should just get ducks. I heard ducks. There we go. There's the culprit right there. See? That little son of a... That is... What is that? A cutworm, maybe? Cabbage looper? I don't know. I have to look it up. But that one needs to go. Look it off the plant. If I were to spray this with a little BT, which again is just a totally natural bacterial strain that kills the caterpillars, I'm gonna have to do that. Come in here and do that. But yeah, all right, I'm gonna go. I've held you guys hostage for long enough. Just wanted to show you that cool little hack. You can see it looks kind of pretty. I think it looks kind of pretty. And it was like $1. So take care. Have a great week. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll try to post the links that I used in the description. I need to figure out like how to be an affiliate for that. Like how do I get paid from Amazon to do that? I feel like I should be getting a referral bonus for that. All right, take it easy, guys. Bye.